I just want to thank everyone for coming, and again, thank you to Expo and to Patricia Corson, and for those of you who've stayed this second round, you're a trooper. If you're new, welcome. Locust Roundtables are a dialogue platform that we run through Locust Projects, which is a not-for-profit organization in Miami, founded by artists like 16 years ago as a place to, create a platform to experiment and make new work. And what we do is, in addition to our exhibitions, we started a program called the Roundtables, which are really an extension of the mission in order to just talk, and all the topics come from creative producers, artists in the community, and we're just dealing with things, and we hash them out in their open format. So I'm so very, very pleased again. Thanks again to Patricia and to Expo for bringing us here. And I'm so excited that the Chicago Artist Writers agreed to kind of adapt or come into this format, again, open format. And just to give a very, very brief introduction about them, there's probably most of you are already very, very familiar, but the Chicago Artist Writers, it's a platform that asks artists and art workers to write traditional and experimental criticism that serves not-for-profit, temporary, and alternative arts programming in Chicago. And working with them this evening is Brandon Alvendia, a Chicago-based conceptual artist, curator, writer, publisher, and editor, and his practice is interdisciplinary, playfully engages spatial and social architecture to envision temporary utopias. And with all that said, they have actually come up with a very interesting, smart activity that hopefully is interesting and smart that we'll engage in this evening. Where before I say too many words about it, I'm going to let Brendan take it over because it's really your guys' baby, and I want you guys to own it. So, thank you.
Thanks, man.
Yes.
Well, I'll just say one thing about Brandon, which is I think you'll know him well by the end of the workshop, but I was trolling his website today, and there was a quote that he put up about 5 months ago that I think is a great way to introduce Brandon, which is, "All mankind is of one author and is one volume. When one man dies, one chapter is not torn out of the book, but translated into a better language, and every chapter must be so translated." And I think with that, it was thank you for introducing us and for hosting us.
Yes, and also just to say, Jason Lazarus and Sofia Leiby, thank you so much. Which of Chicago Artist Writers, so yeah.
Thanks. And we're on a total schedule, so I think we're just going to hand it to Brandon and see what happens.
Cool. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. If you did not get a sheet here, a little handout, take one of those. It has information on what we're doing, as well as some information that will help us along in this activity. So anyway, we'll move really quickly here. I just have a few slides to share to get us centered on this. What we will be doing is we'll be writing a collaborative art review for the Chicago Artist Writers website. We'll be visiting a show next door here to we'll select that show. We'll be hanging out there for a little while, one beer's worth. We're going to move quickly so we can come back and reconvene, collect all of our information, notes, and ideas to then write together one hopefully cohesive entry to the website. So there'll be a few things we'll want to think about. Yeah.
Maybe you guys just thinking a little bit more about what this practice, we're literally going to try to write a good critical review and publish it by the end of this experiment.
Yeah, so we're going to be going through the process of, going to the show together, sharing our ideas informally, whilst, jotting down some of those ideas and really making form out of the kind of ephemeral conversations we generally have with art shows, at this time of night. So anyways, we'll just go right in. We get this picture, just an awesome, fun picture of Mel Bachner. So a lot of surface happening there. So this is the first, the idea of a multiple use name or anonymous written author. It goes back, you can talk about all kinds of different entities throughout history, writing, literature, and things like that. But I decided to start here. This is a character, his name is Monty Canson, and he, this is actually a picture of this Hungarian-Canadian industrial musician here. His music is pretty bad, but he was one person to occupy this figure, which was invented by a male artist in the 70s. So David Zach was a male artist working in kind of fluxusy type of vein, and he made up this nom de plume for his poet musician friend. So this person sort of decided to use the open source or open identity for himself. So a little bit later, you find a person here, Luther Blissett. The top left picture is a composite or Photoshop image, which is the first thing that comes up on Google search, but is another multiple use author that was used and can be used by anyone. And often people use them for activist purposes, for comedy, for pranks and things like that. But it's based on this other person, Luther Blissett, who is a soccer player who was basically shunned out of his team because the fans were so racist. And they decided to take this group of 5 Italian writers decided to take his name and to kind of promote his story in a way. But now he retired, and so the Luther Blissett name is really just this kind of open entity thing. So his main claim to fame is this novel Q. And as you can see, it has 29 customer reviews, one of which I'll share in a little bit. And so it was a vessel for all these different writers to dump ideas into one narrative. And it was about this kind of Reformation narrative, etc. And again, we can kind of see the quality on that in terms of Amazon reviews. Another initiative, and again, a lot of these, some people don't know who's adding to some of these texts and stories, is this tract zine, which you can see. Again, it's a kind of, the anonymity gives people opportunity to be a little more critical, and much like nom de plumes are for authors, maybe you can write about something or write in a different genre than maybe their public persona allows them to. So a little bit later, another artist, designer, activist started a magazine called Smile. If you know Simon Anderson, works at the Artist School of the Art Institute, is an artist book scholar, a bibliophile. He has a very large collection of these. They're called Smile Magazine, which was based on or inspired by File Magazine, which is by General Idea, put together General Idea in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and which was based on Life Magazine. And so this Smile Magazine is a imprint that anyone can make. So that people are still making these till today, and such as this one, which was actually a little bit in the early run of these, by a really awesome designer, Mark Pawson. So inside of this are funny, archival-looking images of sock plugs going into sockets and stuff. So again, some people will say who it is who's published it and who hasn't. So another group came out and decided to start entering into the fray, and they invented this character, Karen Elliott, because they had noticed that a lot of these multiple use names were male figures. So they came up with this person, and again, a lot of this will often segue with Fluxus art, mail art, anonymity. So it was actually made into this kind of stamp. So this is one of her writings, and it is very. We could read this together right now. No. And you can kind of glance at it. It is very kind of this manifesto driven, and a lot of the writings, having the opportunity again to be anonymous, it can kind of say all the things they want to say, and often is railing against certain kind of hegemony of capitalism, etc. So one of the issues of Smile was authored or edited by Karen Elliott, and you can see her obviously in that same vein, no copyright, reprint, blah blah blah, and has a PO box for. To get in touch with whoever actually published this. This is a new version that a group in Germany put together. So they're from bringing back the Karen Elliott moniker for their party, whatever this was, so you can see the lineage continues still now. So I have this. This is the last slide, and I thought what I'd do is share some examples of sort of contemporary versions of anonymous or semi-anonymous art reviewing or culture reviewing. So I have some here that I'll share with you. So one I thought was really funny was the MCA. So basically we're trying to sort of conflate some of these trends now, and anonymous writing, anonymous critiquing with this other more political versions of it in a way, but as a way to just frame some of our fun ideas here. So first one, review of Q. Let's see here. We'll just go straight to MCA here. Okay, so I went for the first time on a Free Tuesday 1 star by Miss Al Oakland, California. I went for the first time on a Free Tuesday, and boy, am I ever glad it was free. I realized that the concept of what is and what is not art is highly subjective, but come on, a 3-inch piece of rope was nailed to the wall. I had to look for a sign to make sure it was part of the exhibit. There were several pieces of art that consisted of wire wrapped around nails in the wall in such inspiring shapes as a square or a semicircle. Also on display was a piece of notebook paper with 3 strips of tape on it. What was most disappointing was that this one artist took up nearly an entire museum. The 1 star is because the exhibits are supposed to change fairly frequently. I'll be back deaf on a free day. When they have changed the exhibit, judging by all the 4 and 5-star reviews, I'll probably be back here to edit my review. Okay, so let's go. There's some better ones here. This is why I said, 1 star, 0 stars. Could you do that? I guess no 1 star. Alan R. Chicago. This is why some people hate art. Backing up a step, this is the sort of art that people debate about whether it is even art at all. Look, mommy, I stapled a theater program to a cardboard box. I'm an artist. It's the sort of art that has some hidden inner meaning that will make it all make sense. You see, the program stapled to the refrigerator box is symbolic of the poverty that most actors have to deal with in order to pursue their art. But did the artist have that info written in the little placard? Of course not. You have to guess what it means, and then you're grabbing at straws. And all those pretentious quotes painted on the wall, this one actually is the real quote. I want my art to act as stimulant to usher in a new age of sculpture. Da Vinci and Rodin ushered in new ages of sculpture. The artist who uttered this particular quote had a collection that included a seesaw and a row of broken beer bottles. Give me a break. Compared to the other art museums in Chicago, the MCA is a waste of time.
Did you say that one was written by Alan Artner?
No, Alan R. Alan Artner, yeah.
It could have been written by
Alan Artner, right? That's about the quality. 5 stars. Let's see. I was excited by coming here based on what friends had seen about my own expectations. It's possible the rotating exhibit was not in my favor, but I was quite disappointed. Sympathy for the Devil left much to be desired. This one part.
That was Donna and Willow's show.
Yeah, it was. This person. 5 stars. So that was all right. Was the Trippy Eagle room. I could do without the psychedelic totem soul stick that you can't touch, but the floor of the room was overwhelming in a good way. Horribly curated. Oh, another person. Sympathy for the Devil was pretty horribly curated and features a lot of bullshit artists. Okay. I hate going to the MCA I hate giving the MCA such a low score. I love the building. It's in my childhood neighborhood, but the exhibits are horrendous. This is not art. This is my high school art class, and I'm a big fan of modern and contemporary, so I'm sold on the concept. So sad because the old MCA seemed like it had so much more than this new and improved version. And by old MCA, I mean the one from the early 80s. Yes, I'm old school. Okay, so I'll leave this around. We can read more. There's so many. Look at this. 1 star. 1 star. Okay. Rate my professors. Scott Reeder, I found. Overall quality, 3.2. Helpfulness, 3.5. Clarity, 3.0. Easiness, 2.5. First one, advanced pain. Good quality. No comments. Grade received an A. Comment from painting. Poor quality. Easiness, 3. Helpfulness, 2. Clarity, 1. Rater interest, 1. Grade received an A. Stop saying everything is weird. There must be more to his ideas. Recommended professors Loretta Bork, Rick Rapaski, and Eleftheria Lialos. All hot. Yeah. Okay. Amazon.com review of Your Everyday Art World. 4 stars by Mike Wild Bill from Indiana. Art World defined as a network with numerous platforms. Verified purchase. The concepts are well grounded and thoroughly researched. Any artist not familiar with the new art world paradigm is at a tremendous disadvantage. Should be required reading for all MFA graduates. Lane Relia's academic writing style tends to be cumbersome and tedious. I prefer lucid writing with a diverse tempo and verbs that do the heavy lifting. However, his research and insightful commentary expound on the form of today's art world. No regrets for buying this book. Okay. We've got another one here. A review of Culture in Action, put together by Mary Jane Jacob. One other people found this review helpful. 1 star. This book sucks. Seller not so hot either. By Gary Roberto, quote, traveler adventurer. This book was not at all as described. It is poorly written and does not capture the essence of public art in Chicago. I wish I had immediately returned it. However, given the price and postage, it simply wasn't worth bothering. I will donate it to a local library. The book arrived with a torn dust jacket, was in poor condition than listed, and was simply a waste of money. The seller was slow in processing the order. If you're looking for a definitive review of public art in Chicago, sculpture focus and otherwise, avoid buying this volume, and in opinion, avoid purchasing from the seller. A loser to be avoided. Response to review by Emmy Metcalf. In response to the previous review, it should be clarified that this book does not aim to capture the essence of public art in Chicago. It is a discussion and reflection of a specific series of public art projects curated by Mary Jane Jacob from 1991 to 93. These individual artistic projects empowered marginalized communities of Chicago by placing equal importance on art and audiences. This book is not a survey of Chicago public art, but rather a delightful and thought-provoking account of a very specific and important moment in Chicago history of art. Okay, and we'll finish here. 3 walls. 3 walls. Recommended reviews. Top review, Eric F. 5 stars. Yes, capital Y-E-S. 3 Walls is an oasis in one of the West Loops Gallery. Is an oasis in the West Loops Gallery district. They provide a platform for local artists whose work. Got a typo. Whose work doesn't fit into the commercial gallery world. Often, this makes for more interesting exhibitions. In addition, they present a ton of great programming and events on a regular basis. Last week, I just attended an amazing lecture by Erica Nelson about the world's largest collection of the world's smallest versions of the world's largest things. worldslargestthings.com. Support local art. Go to 3 Walls. We'll stop there. So, hopefully we can be a little more maybe detail-oriented than some of those. Maybe not. We'll see what happens. But I'll walk us through the worksheet. If you didn't get one, we still have some up here. You can grab them, or I don't know, people don't pass them. So what we have is basically the press release on the left side here, and we have a number of prompts. Okay, so what? There you go. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so since we are now at 7:08, we can make it really quickly. So I'll just read through some of the things that might help us to understand and frame some of our comments. Keep it on point, but also, there'll be room, and then Sofia and Jason have some suggestions here. So what we're going to do is everyone will, in your own paper, you can write on this, you can throw it on your phone. So we're going to take, we finish at 8, so 20, 30 minutes tops to check out the show, just right over here. Just drink our beer, do a normal thing, and we'll come back with our responses, and we're going to have at least 2 or 3 laptops, and we'll have 1 Google Doc. Everyone can then take turns just dumping their comments into this file, okay? And then from there, also at the same time, we'll be trying to wrangle and make things seem seamless, like it were a seamlessly written critique by one person, which is, we'll see. But, so it'll be we'll need to focus real hard for the next hour here, or 45 minutes to do this, okay? So,
you have pens, Brandon?
I do have pens, yes. If you don't have a pen, then maybe people can go off of one, team up or something. Okay, so I'll just leave this up here. I also have a present for Chicago artist writers, so. You should open it here. Just open it up. And this will help us to also frame the quality and, high-end, critique mode. So it is the power of judgment. A debate on aesthetic critique. So highly recommended, different lectures and talks. So, so cool. All right. So let's do this. Grab your beer if you haven't, and we'll just visit next door. It should be open, and we'll come back and we'll have Google Docs ready to go.
When do we need to come back by?
It is 7:10, so I don't know, 30 minutes.
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
7:30. 7:30. Yes,
7:30.
I like even numbers like that. So here, take a pen if you need it.
And remember that this is going to be anonymous, so you can write whatever you want.
Write whatever you want. We will come up with a name that it can fit into upon return. So think of some name. Yes. If you would like, you can kind of group up 2, 3, 4 people at a time. And share your responses on one. Let's to the left here.
Totally up to you, but yeah, it was I think it'll be fun to like check it all out and like
the word.
You know? Oh, also, before I forget, these are really silly, but these are postcards from Locust.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Where is this show?
Which one?
Where?
Paris, London.
Paris, London, also. Okay.
Yeah, show you.
Eric, aren't you going to come, honey?
Yeah, go for it.
Probably not. I'm going to stay in the room and watch others.
Eric, this is Amanda.
Oh, hi.
Amanda is my boyfriend Eric.
Oh, hi, Eric.
He's a non-participatory person.
Is that?
How are you?
Good, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming out. Is it not participatory participant?
Something like that.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he is.
Down here. Where do you live?
You work nothing with us.
No?
I'm going to bring this recorder in.
Some of you guys find that you want to really get into formal analysis, per se, then maybe volunteer yourself as like a sort of leader of the group or the conglomeration that's going to really dig into that. So we can also kind of do a divide and conquer. Does anyone have any sort of specific interest, like of these subgroups that they really want to write about?
Let me group up.
How about the categories are formalism, history, agenda, activism? Just throwing it out there. If anyone has better... Why don't we start with going to the four corners? Just,
Yeah, that sounds great.
There we go.
Yeah.
just go into the four corners and then each group will figure it out based upon what their interests are. Go!
We can pick a piece. Everyone can pick a piece. Element of the show. This is time to self-organize.
Hi, how are you? So happy to be here. You just got here from Miami? Oh my god. Well, welcome in a reverse way. Sad to lose you.
And I saw on Instagram you're going to be here.
Okay, I'm so glad. This is awesome. Well, are you enjoying the city so far?
Yeah, I'm trying to find a museum job.
Okay, alright, well.
I worked with Domingo Castillo at Mocha as an educator.
Yeah, great.
And then I arted at a pilot.
Okay, great. Well, definitely we should introduce you to all of the, like Sofia and Brandon, and then also tomorrow a whole bunch of museum people are coming.
Oh, cool.
Abraham is going to be doing...
I just started interning at the MCA.
Great. Okay, you guys should talk first of all.
Well, we're roommates.
Yeah, so.
Perfect. It's just going to be smooth.
I hope so.
Smooth going. Good. Well, that's totally awesome and like wonderful, and you're lucky to have him. Stole him from us.
So you work with
Locust projects. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's great.
I just followed you guys on Twitter. So.
Yay! Good deal.
I never heard of it until.
Yeah, I mean it's a not-for-profit, project space, and has a history of 15 years of providing a platform for artists to make new work and experiment and push their practice. And we recently have been expanding our budget so that we can do programming, and rather we've been expanding our programming so that we can do our programming. But it's all good things.
I was sad I never got to do anything with Locust Project before I left.
That's all right. I'm sure you'll be back, even to visit. Brandon,
Yes.
will you put this in your pocket?
Oh, sure.
And just let it roll. Just like pop it right in there, and then you can. It will record you.
Okay. Hello, sir.
Hey.
You have any words you'd like to share to
Yeah,
the
well,
audience about the exhibit?
I was just going to ask if I could just go in the room now.
You can go to the room right now and
Is it ready
need
to
to be
type?
within the... Oh, you can start typing in there? Yeah, the computer should be up.
Okay, just because, it's faster than writing notes and then...
Yeah, go for it.
Let's knock it
Pull
out.
up the Chrome, and then it's on a tab that says peer review in the Google Drive.
Okay.
Well, they have book,
Yeah. These colors are like.
Yeah, it's like that's fabric, right? I assume that's some kind of.
Yeah.
like a public library.
Yeah.
But the color bars themselves are like they're like from color proofing, right? They're like how do you make a color proof?
Oh,
You'll
like a
get,
CMY candy, but it has
yeah,
this
like down at the bottom or on the side.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And they are right in there rendered on the bottom.
Both formal and informal. Informal. I mean formal in terms of like line shape color.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like I would normally, my eye way especially, it's like you're supposed to be looking at it. And my eye would correct it.
Right.
Yeah, it gives you a calibration.
But you can agree that it is a formal discussion. Line shape color.
So yeah, images themselves, absolutely. And how you take that discussion is your.
So it's one of the things I actually did read the whole thing with yes, everything to do this, and then it's also there's a discussion of how this.
So
this
it is. So like we're dealing with like.
It's kind of beautiful, like look at these things.
No, they are. They are beautiful.
You know, like they're gorgeous.
And so these are
I think
this part of the bill, so.
Yeah, I like how someone will.
And are they? And I wonder, are they enamel? Are they oil? What is it?
Like I like
That's what I'm
asking.
asking.
What's the relationship between the two?
It's a nice mystery.
The best way to do things like this is
Reproduction.
this nice remediation.
Like images that are rendered. Like
It's
you
a
know what
nice
else
experience
is
that
just like this
people watch your videos, like really.
Yeah, that's
Photo essay book.
And that's like part of it.
It's a photo essay. Pennsylvania, German land and life.
So the theme is forming, always forming. Yeah.
What's the title of the show?
The show is printing, always printing.
Print. Oh,
Hard to like unknown. Seems like a read.
But in terms of the buffer, like
So that's the source material of the image.
like, yeah, huh?
Well, but the image is necessary. So that's what you do small things.
I mean,
That's the
their reproduction.
Yeah,
So Jesse was pointing out how like this has sort of been taped off and it's very like sort of like Play-Doh, this kind of like regionalism.
I think that what it is colors I think that's the key.
With
Or the relationship between the color bars and
I know that fell off the wall. I don't know. That's a question we're gonna have to bring up at our reconvening, huh?
It just fell off the cleats or something.
Yeah, it does look like that. Or that's a very interesting conceptual move there. Yeah, exposing the art, the artifice of the gallery. Yeah.
that process. The way that process is not exactly the same process.
Let's look at some pictures.
No, it's probably not. I think the book looks like it's
Being legible. Like they're almost
legible or almost illegible.
Approaching legibility.
yeah, the works. And I was thinking about like the labor was really invested in the mining of the images and not in the fabrication of the images themselves.
Did you get into
I really actually appreciate the way they hung.
Oh, we're going there, huh?
Yeah, well.
Yeah, yeah, throw it in.
But also.
How about this hanging hardware? Everybody talk about the hanging hardware here? Brass tacks or brass screws? No? Is that important?
Landscapes that have been transposed.
It is. Oh, you know what those are? I know what those are. Those are bookbinding posts.
Rural landscape too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, rural. Let's some fetishizing a rural environment or something, rural life. This is a catalog for this show.
No, these images are based on this book that he's made.
But he did not make this book. This is just where he's from.
The books. This is based off this.
Yeah,
and then these are based on
off
that.
that.
Okay.
And I think these are like they're enlarged directly from that, so that's why there's a sort of confusion of there being like being registration dot or whatever dots, but then also being pixelated outside of that.
Anybody? I don't know. These color bars, I think, do a lot to complicate what we're looking at. I think in a good way.
What is it? What is the relationship between that and this work? And why
Do they go together? Or are they like you pick up one, they pick up the other one? That's a question too, right? Or are they? Is this an individual piece? Oh, we should look at the checklist. Is there a checklist? There it is. Wood cloth, aluminum, $1,000.
Should we maybe say the titles aloud so we can hear them?
We should take this with us. Is there two?
Can you, based off of what you said so far, do you have a
So now we're like
kind of an engaging
airbrush? Which one is this?
Like,
So all of those have airbrush around the end of them.
you know,
So those ones are taped off on top of the like here. On top of the image, there's this part.
Oh, I see it. It's very faint.
Yeah.
something.
But then that one, it's not taped off.
Yeah, think about it. Yeah, I mean, unless it's like.
It doesn't say anything about the hanging hardware. It just says book cloth. Oh no.
No, that fell.
Oh no, this one. See, silkscreen airbrush, and then the hardware is. Are those like magnets? They look like
Those ones are.
They look like little book.
Yeah, that's what they are.
Books posts.
Yeah, exactly.
How are we doing on time? Oh, we got 8 minutes still. Yeah, we like unpacked the show in 5 minutes. We're like, we got it. 5 minutes done.
It's not a huge room.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having to play to say well, we were saying about like an iPhone filter. Well,
The airbrushing, like this kind of speckling.
yeah, which he's probably referring to with the size in general. It's kind of the ratio proportional to color tablet. Well, it's quite possible that he actually took one of these images, scanned it, put it through the filter, and then put it through whatever process he used to screen print it.
Would it be useful to hear the titles?
Yeah.
Do it.
So I think it starts with this one. So printing, always printing, herb garden. Printing, always printing, summer kitchen. Spanner 2. Spanner, SPANNER. So those refer to all of the aluminum book cloth parts. Printing, always printing, cold frame. But you know what, we must be on one. Because this, sorry. So this one must be, so that's herb garden. Summer kitchen. Root cellar. And then this is return address. Scarecrow. Outhouse. This is herb garden. That's summer kitchen. This is cold frame. Root cellar. Return address. That may have just made it more confusing, actually. Sorry.
And maybe we should read the
prices. Oh, just kidding.
The prices.
The prices. Just say them.
Is that useful? Should we?
Say half.
You guys want to hear the price, please? I mean, should we do that? Or is that?
I think we should. I think
We can bring a poster.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Okay, we got time. Nice and loud.
Nicholas Gotland's relationship with printing is a rich and personal history dating back 6 generations. Considering Gotland's exhibition titled Always, which comes from a previous book the artist made called Printing, Always Printing, could not be more apt. In Printing, Always Printing, Gotland experiments with crops and enlargements of a book called Farming, Always Farming, that is family printed in the early 80s for the Pennsylvania German Society. The large 40 by 30 and 60 by 45 silkscreen prints in the exhibition are further cross-enlargements of these selections in printing on this printing. The works are printed on tan Bristol board that is commonly used to make archival storage boxes for libraries, which Gottman did for a summer job while working at his college's library. The most recent works in the exhibition are a group of 4 by 72 aluminum strips that are wrapped in multiple sections of a colored book cloth. Gottman calls these works spanners, and he hangs them 24 inches high along the gallery walls below the large black and white screen prints. The spanners sit on the surface of the wall, akin to the way color bars sit on the surface of an offset print. They occupy a space that can be seen but is considered outside of the margins of the works or architectural elements of the wall. The works in this exhibition further explore his deep history and relationship with printing, which he first discovered while with his family, later his college experience, and now his experience as an independent book publisher. The rest is biographical and sort of exhibition history. He lives and works in Los Angeles.
24 inches high. That's the press release.
That's the press release.
Essay.
Okay.
Okay. 20. Is it 24 inches high? It looks like 12 inches high.
Maybe the top is 24.
Some of them.
How tall?
Yeah. They're airbrushed.
Airbrush.
Yeah, maybe. It's close enough.
Ground the paper is the white, which I actually thought was really beautiful.
Can you explain that again? It's the airbrush,
Okay, so look at this frame.
it actually is lighter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
look in the lower right-hand corner of that one.
So that the ground of the paper is like a pure white. It's just like a hue, a tone, like a hair darker around where the image is.
Right.
That's a really particular and beautiful soft design.
Oh, I see. It is nice.
To acknowledge the ground.
So his relationship with these images is personal, right? But he's kind of the people that are farming are not his relatives. It's just people that his family documented. So in a way, he's sort of redoing that, right? Kind of like reliving his parents.
Redocumenting.
Right.
Yeah, it is like the family volume and always been documents.
In the sense that like printing and the printing press gives you this, this platform to like very infinitely recirculate.
Yeah. Yeah.
He also mentions that he photocopied them in LA, so I think that.
Oh, photocopied the books in LA.
Yeah, in a library in LA.
And then also these were made in New York, if that's in any way useful in terms of like the between his two locations.
Yeah.
And then this is the third, that's actually the fourth.
Yeah. We talk about the relationship of the farm. Is he invested in the farming in relation to the printing, or how are those two things? What's the through line?
We were talking about the
family business.
Yeah.
If this is family documenting something there, books to work and bring
Yeah.
in something else.
The books, that is, but is it?
taking their books to work, is that what you said?
Yeah. No, I like that. But I'm wondering if the farming, this specific, I'm guessing there are other books that they printed. So what's the relationship of choosing this particular book to then re-photograph, right? Or is that, right? I think
Is that maybe a tie into like regional history?
Yeah, I think that, and then I think of like Dorothea Lange or so. I don't know. I kind of go there to a WPA, of the rural states or so. I don't know. Who knows? That could be.
I want to know more about the process of being used to print them, because another artist has used found photographs from a garage sale and then reprinted them in the most unstable medium, like a newspaper print. So just as quickly as they were found, they can erode and be lost again, lost memories. So, and that kind of reflects what's happening
That's
here
true.
and there. So I'm wondering what kind of print media this is, because if it's unstable and not archival, then...
Well, there was a mention in there about
packing.
but that there are things that are used to package archival work, so maybe that they're more of a shield than they are necessarily the thing itself that would not erode.
Did we determine what this return address was?
I think that's where, that's his last name, and it was on the back of the book, so I'm assuming because that's the only thing in the book that really indicates anything about it, I think that's sort of in Zing's multiplication tradition of like that's how you get back in touch with him if you want.
It's interesting how much we're invited to investigate this, and we're peeling it apart like detectives, and it's sort of actually a necessary activity to undertake with this work.
With this particular project, yeah, absolutely.
So, like, just to think about that, the fact that we're like very interested in decoding that is a practice in and of itself, is to put out these mysterious forms.
Yeah.
And get to the bottom of them.
I think there's also something to just thinking about the framing of these and how it is taped off, so that these parts are not airbrushed. There's like those two things, and then here this is treated not as an image that is like where you can kind of imagine where the border would be, and it's just been uniformly airbrushed, and what that might mean inside of there.
We are out of time.
Okay, perfect.
Can I make requests to not do Oxford commas?
All right, we can bring any relevant material.
That's my formal analysis.
What is this?
Of our formula. It's when you put a comma before and, like you have a list and then you put.
I stopped doing that.
I took the comma out. It's called the Oxford comma because like Oxford Dictionary or University like is the strongest proponent of it, or like the press does it, and their whole thing is if you say blank, blank, and blank, but you don't have a comma, then you're implying the last two things are connected some way.
Okay, so we have.
Oh, I like the first line.
Second-first line, printing, always printing, framing, always framing.
I didn't write that one either.
Yeah, okay.
I would see valid partially.
Somebody bring back like the papers from the show, kind of like the poster.
I got, yeah.
You got a poster? Cool. Let me borrow. Thanks.
I heard the pseudonym of the podcast was about here.
Okay, so we're going to Google Doc it.
Oh, that's...
Okay, so we got one on there.
Yeah, this is Jason.
You have...
Can I say the pseudonym is from a Yahoo Answers question of what are pet names to call your significant other than chump and something? And
Chump?
Yeah, it was like, it was a weird question. So there's a podcast where they read Yahoo Answers, and someone's like, I only call, my girlfriend, or she calls me chump and punk.
All right, was someone to jump in here? I don't actually
someone
have...
threw in all these nicknames of pet names, and so one of them was a doodly kitten, and I thought that was a pretty good.
Just yell it out? Okay. Or someone want to type?
I can type if you want me to.
I feel like the first name Dot is maybe
Dot?
yeah.
Dot lens?
Dot something. No, not like dot, but Dot as a
like Dottie, or like
a rebel.
Herman's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Dottie Jickless, is that what that is?
Maybe let's clarify what we're doing here. So we have a couple laptops going on, and we have a Google Doc, and the Google Doc is open. And so we have 1, 2, and then
We got another one?
I have another laptop.
Jason was on 1, 2.
will be the third.
Yeah.
That's
We
yours.
already got some.
I have another one too. I have a fourth one. You need 4.
So why don't we all sort of center around the person with the laptop?
Okay.
And then we'll kind of type in.
Okay, you got some notes? Yeah.
These aren't mine. These I don't.
We should be trying to.
Okay.
Anybody got notes you want me to type up? Or somebody want to just jump in? Go right ahead.
It might be easiest to do the nom de plural last.
Okay, we'll do that.
Yeah.
But if you do think of any, just jump in.
Okay.
So we have 25 minutes.
Okay, 25 minutes. Okay, so description of the work.
Description. Anybody have any good ways to describe?
Why don't maybe we'll be on formal analysis? This little platform.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Oh, formal analysis. Okay. And then
Just dump things in, we can pull back, right? So it's better to just start by putting in.
It can be 3 separate things,
Yeah.
just to get it going.
Okay, so we will do
Conceptual
it together.
analysis,
So are we in agreement that we are all going to be together? We're going to talk about things and upload them as they.
This will be the conceptual analysis group here.
Conceptual analysis,
And then
formal
analysis.
Okay.
And then this one will be etc. So judgment, interpretation, or interpretation. You can do interpretation group.
Yeah. My contribution.
Here, you got something you can just type, or you guys want to?
I don't think we need a fourth. I think.
Okay, what should we do?
All right, so
Evokes?
guys, we
Okay.
are interpretation. We are interpretation.
Okay, so I think the first thing I'm gonna do is just
too many conversations going on.
Just to combine interpretation and judgment.
Yeah.
Just to see
So I noticed that too, the institutional color.
I'm sorry.
as the engine that
You want me to
follow.
You want to just scroll
So,
down? Did you?
We'll plug it in.
example,
So, formal maker's orgasm.
for
Here,
interpretation,
Chris, large. Okay,
judgment,
so this will be the first description.
someone had already said this, there's a shallowness in this exhibition to ask for a high amount of reconciliation.
Or should we put that right here?
Are there other
And,
instincts or like feelings that you had in that 20 minutes that you saw the show?
But I don't think this.
It would be better to put it down. I'm always wary of saying there is a something.
Okay, let's
A shallowness is
Yeah.
like presupposes that we all know what that shallowness is.
Uh-huh.
It should be fleshed out a little bit.
Okay.
If we agree collectively.
Yeah, I mean that's a big law. to
Shallowness.
throw in.
What kind of shallowness?
It's like, I mean, I don't know. I have trouble separating this process out
in
into
its
four
own
different things.
self-reflection.
It's funny and I like it as a process. But
What's that?
It's poignant in its own
if the shallowness is on the formal level, I don't think that is an interpretive
So
level.
kind of centered,
So maybe it's a sort of red herring.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It's
Okay.
Nouns, like big, simple.
Oh, red herring, one of the colored metal panels falling on the floor.
Right. There's
That's the.
Maybe we should make headings for formal conceptual judgment and like get in there. You know, fill them in. I know that that's segmented. Did you write that?
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's already done. We'll just leave it. I love when someone just takes it. Like, the group is done. It's awesome.
You can't jot this down. We're just being
I know you know, like,
write it all in there.
but I would.
I'm picking it apart here. There.
Interpretation without tethering it directly to something that exists in the show. I mean,
Right.
almost on,
It might be.
almost on
Okay, I don't know if
This
this might be.
Yeah, I guess my point was like he's trying to, like, it's just like he likes printing.
He likes-
So he's trying to justify it by it's like, well, it's about farm labor or whatever. Like now it's about labor or something. But I'm always like, no, like farm labor is real labor and like printing labor is. Yeah, like art labor is not. Unless you're the studio assistant being hired to make it for the artist, then that's real labor. But if you're just an artist, like I like getting there and like prints, that's like kind of inter labor. Or something.
Yeah,
it's like
total.
it's aesthetic.
He's trying to highlight like a martial
Okay, so
community,
I boiled down what you said too. There's a shallowness in the exhibition formally that is a red herring. Yeah.
Well, it's like it's like
Also, it's really hard to type in Google Docs because like the cursor is like 3 letters over.
It's gotta be about something. You're supposed to be farming place, right? So he's sort of like, I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
but then it's also that other stupid thing artists do when they research something and then they're like, why have to make it?
well, what
art?
are the things that you guys saw that like signals that there's
Yeah, so then they're like, but I'm
not?
presenting the research in a way that's like,
Okay.
it's just like,
but it's pretty.
but it's pretty, but it doesn't make me appreciate farming. I mean, the book made it, like,
Right.
there's a way to research something like that, to say that I'm, because I don't know about that book, it's kind of obscure.
So books
So like,
in the address are sort of like
it could have been any book.
stepping
It could have been any
stones
book that was made that way.
I think I would
into
have appreciated better if you had
artists.
the Spaniards on the bottom.
perspective,
which would be
personality.
cut off that you'd have if you're printing like an inkjet printing. And he's trying to mimic like, oh, I'm taking what is the refuse and highlighting it on the, by presenting it in this way, but it's still beneath the print.
Good hardworking farmer types.
A lot of misspelled words.
Yeah.
Research. I think that was me.
German
Farming
farm
Guru
psyche
printing
are built into who I am.
about farming food.
But yeah, then it has
It's
this
kind of
weird
like the
fetishizing
aesthetic
thing.
of it's a Pennsylvania German farm, and it's psyche are built into who I am.
I read the interview. It's the cutoff from when you have an inkjet print. The Spaniards, like it's just color text. So
But
almost
that
absolutely.
paper, but the actual object desire to
The book cloth, the cover.
of the.
I think the show makes you really aware that, like, when you're looking at the photo book,
push through the layers of this.
the gelatin silver prints are just done.
Okay, hold it.
It's just
I can't find this. There's so much being added. I can't even find the judgment.
And then you see like the specs and like the outside very much like that, and then the inside image on the paper is almost like a blow up.
But you know, a lot of
photographic material
aren't very good, frankly. So you know, I think like
it's a film, it's a silver film. It's the grain of the film that looks like the
silver, like green, like what are those called?
okay, I'm gonna have you. Can you type out
on the silk screen? Those dots are also called.
And like you can do it in sort of.
Then there's the dots or the speckled airbrushing.
Perfect.
But then the halftone dots.
Halftone, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so the low.
Maybe that's actually probably formal. It's in between.
It's sort of like through a huge allegory that we don't take photographs to be prints because they're just prints.
We can.
Hey Josh, do you mind kind of manning the computer for a minute? Because I want to get some video of the. But I'm talking. No, you man that I'm listening and talking to.
I was invited by these guys who were invited by. Psychologists. Which is like, well, then I'll just invite everybody.
We should keep all
the spelling errors.
I work at Mocha in Miami.
Oh, really?
And I just moved to
you did?
Monday.
So Deal offered his
Angel, Ariel.
You turned it sort of like more final judgment.
What's that? Ariel, that's right. Ariel.
My name's Ian.
Ian. Welcome.
You want to fix the typos? Are we fixing typos?
And combining sentences?
Sure. Agree to agree on fixing typos right now.
All right. Are we at that stage?
Well, we can kind of chip away. We'll just chip away at it.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot.
We got 7:42.
I was going to say, so that like
18 minutes.
So we have like another like an 8 minutes.
It runs off.
Constitute where were we going with that? Oh, that's not us anyway. I'm fixing clean up the time.
I don't think that's us talking.
Yeah. I'm gonna do it anyway.
I think that's a good idea.
Experience and perspective.
Yeah, that's
I like these ones.
I do too.
Where did you move from?
Miami.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to work at the Museum of Contemporary Art there. We go to Locust projects a lot.
Share or
connect
somehow. So the vision for my I saw them on Instagram.
Or print
When did you move? You literally.
Yeah, I'm looking for a job.
Okay. What made you want to come to Chicago?
I graduated college and wanted to teach.
I would say that's more than I can do right now, so props. You came at the right time. Chicago is the best.
Yeah, it's really nice. I live really close to the park.
He basically wrote it at the end.
Anybody have the checklist? Checklist. Make sure we do due diligence on the names of the places.
Well, I feel like the book is very like image placement side and this is
What?
Yeah, there's actually so much to respond to in that show because
It's a one-way lock. I can't get back in.
The install was weird and there was no symmetry there, and the images is what we're actually looking at.
Still not spelling it right.
Scarecrow.
That's C, right? Okay. There we go.
I feel like this
No, they aren't because there are multiple colors on the bars.
Except the what?
No, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. It's like a question mark in that sentence.
What does this mean?
We're also
Too larger.
Except two larger, except
the one with the address.
Oh, alright. Sun blinking.
So like
that.
these weird just pay attention to that, and then we have to do those red things.
Yeah. I always thought of those, what are they called? Stammers? Or
Right,
Scanners? Yeah, I kind of think of those as almost finishing the circle back to real life, because at some point there was the subject of the people covered in the book. You know what I mean? So you mediate it over and over and over again, but that thing not only references to the printing or the mediation, but in a weird way, like I thought someone brought it.
Formally, it's not.
We have this.
It's not really that romantic. Right. So, you're right. It is very.
Just say the words in the show.
I think it's longing, but it's sort of like that's the block. Like the images we look at on the wall is almost like we're trying to see through the image and you don't see it clearly, just like the memory of far away.
Right. Well, there's what the distance and like the right.
It's Sunday at 1 in the morning. It has to be due before the editor gets to
us as viewers trying to strain to see the images in them is almost like trying to strain the memory to remember something.
Yeah. To learn about farming or printing.
Really press your face into the content. Books.
Pointing to its own
I agree though with what Jason said, because he, I mean, it's not the Lazarus and the original point. I mean, the original prints were documentation of the subject, they were like specific images, and they've been like so cropped transformed into something.
But I think the processing doesn't matter because it's just taking black and white photos from an old book and then enlarging it so you see the half.
What was that last idea?
So it's just like whatever.
I just feel like maybe that refers to the
but the subject can be anything.
the banners that like referring back to offset because we have the color bars that are
a book that is available for $25 part of the
marks,
local bookstore.
yeah, and so I don't know, in a way,
$30, and then basically
like
$1,400 prints.
that was aligning back into the original, like the original images were done.
Like, do you like farming?
I don't know.
No, that's like the whole thing is it reads like a justification for it because otherwise it's just franchising print. It's like, oh no, it's about like historic American labor.
The problem with this process is
We were also saying like
we're trying to create something that would take one person.
It might,
but 20 people have our not one. I like that this is the same problem.
Well, yeah, it's sort of like maybe.
But I don't know about the show before.
One thing like this argument, I'm not sure if we have.
Hey, you guys.
We got 2 minutes and we gotta.
Oh shit. You guys,
be here all night.
Yeah.
This is how you actually do a review.
I have one question. I think one of the things that Brandon talked about, anonymity as an aspect of what we're doing, and I'm really curious if everyone has sort of hiccuped out stuff that they like would say easier knowing that they are part of a larger group and that their comments are essentially anonymous.
Could you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the Google Doc?
Does that make sense what I said? Yeah. Like, is anyone willing to leverage the anonymity of this and maybe say something that they wouldn't usually say if their name was described?
it's boring. That's the answer. That's boring.
But that's also at the top of the meeting.
Yeah. But I think, But, well, is it boring or is it boring as a stage in what a viewer encounters in the show? Because a lot of work, like there's a moment of
It's just
dryness,
boring, which is work.
right? Or is the boring at the end result of all of the hunting, all of the reconciling?
There's plenty to sleuth through in the show, but ultimately the level of interest hinges upon like a kind of sentimentality that that this artist has for this root subject that it does not translate into our own level.
That's a really good point. That's Josh.
It hinges upon the sentimentality. I think that is what makes the artist interested in the work, but is not interesting to us.
Both within like agricultural processes and processes of like making.
It's not. Yeah, the making is so flat and dry and almost like didactic.
It's really literal and reductive. I mean, lots of artists have worked with memory and like intangibility and like forgetting and remembering gravity and how that can be a metaphor with photographic processes and materials.
Yeah, the question is...
It's just really weak in its conclusion, and I don't know.
The question is diaristic art, do we like it or not?
I don't think it's diaristic because it doesn't tell me anything about...
It's a different kind of book than a diary, right?
It's I think for something he likes, but it's not diaristic. Like then I went out...
Printing, not the subject.
But I thought diaristic was like telling a story of something he did, whereas this is like stuff he's in.
I think the big question is you have an artist who has like a specific, family, personal relationship with the material, and we're never going to have that. So does the show like operate past a threshold where the discourse and the interest is opened up to all of us? And I think that's what kind of you are getting at, right? Which is, I mean, there is a part of the work that, sentimentality lingers in the work, right? And so it makes us ask these big questions: is when are our personal experiences revelatory for a bigger group? And that's kind of the big
when is
hoop.
our own subjectivity as a viewer, like,
right?
Are we going to have that subjective attachment to certain artworks?
Right.
But I don't even get that it's sentimental to him, though. That's like,
or
like I just see like
the book cloth. That's like, it's like printing.
But that's not a personal thing. That's a lot of people have that fascination with books and analog technology and things going on today. So it still doesn't seem specifically neurotically personal to him or tied to his personal
It doesn't
family.
matter. I mean, to me, like, okay, so we take the work and we're like, this like personal history is kind of a construct, and we're here to look at this book. I mean, it seems to me that we're paying attention to the formal qualities of the book, like sun bleach, its registration marks, et cetera, et cetera. So what we're looking at is more of this formal thing. He's kind of bracketing it with this story that doesn't really matter, and we know it doesn't really matter. So whether or not that...
It doesn't seem like any of them matters.
So why do it? So for you, it's not worth it aesthetically to...
Well, because it's like it fits, everything fits very neatly into everything, so there's no tension to be like, there's not like the design's perfect, like it operates really well, so there's no...
Like a printing machine.
Yeah, so you're just like, good job, like it looks right, it's all tight, it's like, it's completely closed off, so there's no... To me, there's no entry to it.
There's no point. Doesn't have anything to say exactly about the loss of form.
I mean, it's very formal work.
The idea of farming is probably fairly messy compared to the idea of
But that's why I'm saying it could be about anything, because it's just about blowing up dot prints.
Prints on craft.
So there's an element of the work that's about there's the actual story, the actual narrative, the actual history that brought up this specific show, and then there's the story of mediation, right? And I think that we are either talking about A or talking about B. And I think like the B part is successful in that you start to look at images and understand the images are elegantly done. And you have these spanners, which is a really unique visual strategy to get people thinking about the overarching notion of what it is to register anything, register an experience. So it might be annoying, it might be fetishy, but it's also maybe more successful than bringing the viewer back into the interest of, who are these farmers and what is this publishing company and blah, blah, blah. So maybe the show's... I'm curious if you guys think it's more of a better show just sort of about looking, right? Like meta looking, or, the particular story of Gotland and...
But again, so I would say both formally and narrative, these are, and I can't resist the pun, he's tilling a well-plowed field.
That's a heck of a first line for the review.
Yeah.
Can we do something where we go formal and comb through the formal section, and then we go conceptual, comb through the conceptual, and then comb through the judgment? Is everyone up for that?
Or switch things to where they need to be, if there need to be in better spots.
I mean, it's difficult because I don't think a review has to be the same.
No, but it's just what's really weird is that we weirdly decided that those would be the groups for whatever reason. So if we're willing to go there, then then we might.
Let's organize it.
Sentimentarily.
I know, that's not a word.
It's not a word.
That was me, I'm sorry.
How did he
that's
run
still not a word.
sentimentarily?
Nope, still not a word.
I have a 90.
Sentimental.
Cemetery.
Sentimentality.
Sentimentality.
Okay, so we're going up to, what is it, formal?
The I.
This side.
Yeah, somebody want to?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll go up to formal.
Just
All right, there we go.
Here, why don't I? That I think that's our holding spot.
I just threw that in there. It's not.
I thought that sounded like humor.
Yeah. Well, it's a Yahoo Answers name, so it seems related.
I wanted the name to be Barney Rumble.
I think Barney Rumble better, or Walter White, or something like that. Come on. No, not Walter White.
What name from the book?
I like the Dottie thing. Like,
how about Dottie Farmer?
Dottie Farmer.
I don't like the word farmer.
Dot, actually, maybe Dot Hatland as he calls it.
Yeah.
All right.
What is it?
More transparent. We should have a footnote review or. But you spell it in the context of the art. It may well be. I think there's a good chance that there's like a level of like trauma and drama and like things in these what look like dry formal decisions that we are just not tuning into because we're acting as a group. So I think there should also be like a disclaimer or some kind of like epilogue.
Josh is saying that.
There we go.
I think we should
farm.
In the spirit of this artist,
Farm, but
the entire review and have a review of this review so that we can.
Well, yeah, Josh is basically saying that is that we should have a footnote that says a group dynamic does not embrace like the sort of careful digging in for meaning.
Yeah.
Like we tend to have more building momentum when we're just sort of talking about railing on formal.
Like the monkeys at the beginning of Space Odyssey.
The opinions reflections are what do not reflect the opinions of Chicago artists, right?
Yeah. Well, groups can't be reflective.
No, how about Dottie? Don't think so. I think we are rounding it out and finding a nice average, and we're doing a good job of it.
You want to round it out? I think that's
what we're doing. No, I think that's lines.
You don't think
There's nuance and criticality when you do it this way.
Oh.
Okay. So
which is fine. It's just worth noting.
Well, maybe we do that. Maybe we do that if we go through and try to combine sentences without honoring like each of the voices. Like, yes, it's boring, but someone else says, like I think about looking in a way that I don't usually because I'm seeing a source and a mediation, and then.
But it's written like schizophrenically, so Dottie is like, this is so boring, but as I think about it more, I think it's actually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe the schizophrenia is what brings the nuance back into it.
Averages where when we all guess the weight of the pig, then actually.
Yeah. So maybe we shouldn't.
We should print them out and cut them out and put them all up on the wall.
You can have it print.
No, I like that. I think that's what's wrong.
In halftone?
In halftone.
Hold on.
Just one section.
There's not a lot of real postulation a lot of times in criticism, and it's because it's like guessing the way of the pig, where everybody guesses the way of the pig, and all together you get it right, but then you just have the way of the pig, like you don't actually.
What's interesting about that is that then the alternative is that criticism is highly personal and subjective.
I think there's a line to walk.
But
you can avoid
then,
that.
is there like a truth that is true?
Well, then it's the discourse, and that's what rigor.
That's the reviews that are interesting is when the writer brings something to it.
Yeah.
Or, sure, but also isn't it interesting when, is it interesting to think about some kind of set of critical factors that we could use to evaluate work? That is
there is no criteria. That's the problem.
Well, right, but isn't it interesting to maybe think about?
Wait, in general or for this review?
In general.
Well, I think there are criteria, but different individuals have criteria, and I think that's what needs to come back is because there's an institutional absence of criteria, so that's why you get these really kind of short, shoved out bullet point puff piece things because you're like, this is what happened, and
like any critical writing publication.
Yeah, I was saying most criticism is either couched in academic research or it's very just kind of repeating press release stuff because there's this disinterest in a writer taking it on as an art form to say I'm going to make a case for what I think is true. Or I'm going to make a case for the criteria that I believe in.
So you're saying that there's a difference between a subjective voice and this washed out institutional voice that is like a generalist voice.
Yes.
And that you prefer the subjective voice.
Yeah.
It was spelled that way.
Because that one has more of a potential to interest me as a reader. I mean, I guess I'm a different. Well, I don't know with art, everyone's an initiated reader, but for me, when I'm reading, I either want to know the basic facts because I trust my own judgment, or I want a writing that actually is interesting to read. That says, even if I don't agree with it, it's like, that's a nicely crafted piece of writing, so then that actually draws me in as...
Sure. A nicely crafted, crafted piece of writing, and then there's also like, what is going on with this art?
Right.
Like, what is happening here, and can we figure it?
Yeah.
Can you help me see that?
There's a good
The way
balance
that is,
there. Where it's like just a sprinkling of the subjective voice on top of it.
Maybe,
it's a balance, right?
I mean,
well, it's like the work, you, and then the kind of criteria cloud. Because each show is going to have its own criteria. I mean, the book that I shared with these guys, the whole point is like aesthetic critique, and like critiquing even the notion of critiquing in each. Because if you're reforming your criteria each new iteration of your viewing, then it's just it's got to be all those things kind of as a constellation, I think.
Can we at least get rid of some things that are
just
redundant?
Redundancy we'll take out, and just kind of.
Eric, was there something that's been uttered so far today that has like a hint of that, a more sort of pointed observation or engagement with the work that evokes the kind of like, I am a single writer, I have bringing like a subjective criterion into the piece and really saying something?
I mean, I would say like the conversations I'm a part of and also overhearing, I think people are doing that way of talk. They're making that, people are saying stuff where they have an opinion and then they're also backing it up. So I don't know what I would pick out specifically, but I don't think anyone's said, like, everything's been pretty thoughtful. But I think that's the problem, is everyone's thoughtful. So how do we figure out what we're thinking? But you know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's something, like, I think the engagement we're having now is like a good kind of engagement, because we're kind of contradicting each other, but also like open to what people are saying. And I think people have been pretty good at like articulating the point they're trying to make.
Well, maybe might be interesting. I mean, maybe this would help us take shape if we started the review with a question that sort of opened up the sort of span of reactions that we've all had.
I mean, I guess.
And I think.
Could I?
Yeah.
I think I have an answer.
Good. Okay.
Related to before you said, I guess thinking of what everyone's been saying, the kind of general feeling, if I had to sum it up, would be that there's people feel like it's kind of boring and simple, but there's interest in like talking about it and figuring out what it's about, and so there is kind of like room for conversation. But at the end, having done that, people are still kind of like, well, we're still not like super excited about it.
Right.
But that there is this like sort of like curve of like, and then you're like, oh yeah, there's lots to talk about, and then there's a lot of perspectives on it, and is it about farming, is it about mediation, and there's kind of, it has its thing, and then it kind of crescendos. And
Would you say that condition is emblematic of a lot of contemporary art in general?
Yeah.
Because that might be an interesting thing to say. Emblematic of contemporary art in general, this show asks us to, mine a lot of very pointed but minimal gestures to like get into a deeper web of blah blah blah.
I feel like part of the thing is that there's I don't know. I saw this yesterday, and I like enjoyed it fine. I talked to him, and then I left, and was pretty much like felt like that was the end of this. And so what it really has to do with this, like, there's this tremendous interpretive and like imaginary potential for this many people.
Yeah.
So, but this could just easily have been applied to any of the shows in this building, and maybe even to the menu at one of the restaurants around here. And it has to do more with like a certain level of generosity that's in this room than it has to do with in that room. Kind of for better or for worse. And I feel that's like in that room, it's like I could talk about this for hours and hours, but I also like I wasn't drawn to do that. I wasn't drawn to ask you guys if I could write a review of that show. So I mean I don't know what that offers, but that to me feels real.
Yeah, it's sort of the like background or the stage to have the conversation, and it's the interaction we're having that's
more interesting, maybe.
But the work is like it has that kind of level of like it is good in terms of that like it provides access to these things. There's a level of consistency that reveals kind of like patterns that then we can read into, that kind of like detective thing. Where like probably a good detective can like find a crime anywhere, but like a nice crime is like fun to.
Yeah, or the question is like, is it an artist's job to leave the perfect amount of forensic evidence behind for the audience to carefully climb the ladder of meaning, you know? Because in a way, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, we should have known.
It feels like he's holding our hands through this process.
Feels like he's leaving no stress.
Yeah, like they're all equally distant.
Well, I don't know if I can even dissent, but to me, it's
I think it's a really reductive pattern in art today. That's just like, well, I have like my little secret he lives here, and I'm gonna let my reader find it now, and it's like, you know, follow the maze, find the key, like Mario and the Princess in the Tower. Like, it's very much like a modern way of doing reading, you know, very old, romanticized, like Enlightenment authorship fetish. Like, I don't know, I think it's a little bit. It's limiting.
So it's self-aware.
I think it's aware, but it's also just sort of like
It's self-aware of the fact that
it's redundant that it's like, here's my game and figure it out.
Yeah, I think you're saying in a way it's not brave. You know, it is like
it's not brave enough to be like subtle and slippery.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think he can be. I think we're not giving him enough credit for his awareness of all of these things. I mean, I think like this methodology.
Reading the poster is where do you end up, even knowing that he's aware, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it more interesting, or is it kind of?
Yeah, I guess I just think that this whole idea that like we have a detective thing to like figure out and there's crumbs like that to me is an outdated like way of looking.
Right, because it's all right there. Like
well, it's all right there.
With, like,
well, yeah, maybe the essay, as much as it contributes, is a problem because it just gives us a real soft net to land in, and you're like,
well, that's where you're like, if I wanted to know what it's about, it was right there, and I didn't really.
But I think it's part of what's maybe interesting about it is that there's also that there's there are the two things in the room you can touch, which are the two books, which kind of outline what's going on there, and then also this, and this is printed differently in terms of like what it reveals with the halftones, but also is the scarecrow.
Also, like they're both printed, both of those materials.
Yeah.
But the same is entirely different.
But I feel like it's not on the price list, but those two books, or it's on the checklist. Sorry, whatever. But they aren't like paratext; they are centrally a part of it.
Yeah.
Which I think is worth kind of thinking about in a way that is different from the checklist feels paratextual. Those feel like they're part of the show. They're on the pedestal.
So
you might not even feel comfortable touching them unless somebody else did first.
Yeah. Well, so like you, I saw this last night as well.
Yeah, I got it.
And I mean, this just feels like a crit to me, and we all know what crits are and stuff. But to me, this feels like this conversation is very generous because we are in a group and we have stuff to say. We're getting a lot out of it, but also because of the active discourse. And I was, and everyone's had that experience with crit where they're like, we're being really generous now, and out there people aren't going to give you that time. And I sort of feel like I've experienced the exhibition in both ways.
Maybe we should go back into the things that Brandon introduced, which are these anonymous channels for writing and what they offer, and then in addition these collectives that take away our names. And what is it about having a collective that takes away names and allows you to be honest or truthful and not worry, and as you said, remove all these institutional issues, all these commercial issues, friendship issues, whatever, peer issues. So like if we think about, maybe we should think about, so this is different from a crit because actually we're trying to think about what are those, what does this format afford a voice? Mm-hmm. So maybe we should think about that.
Well, maybe part of that's also based on like what we conceive of as the character that is writing this, because it seems like a lot of things were brought up like they have a particular point, which is maybe not the way that the constituent members feel all the time, but in that moment they are decidedly against images or whatever thing. So maybe that needs to be decided how this person who's writing this feels about work generally, and then how this fits into that person's program.
Yeah, because it is like an opportunity for satire or something, because Dottie Farnsworth might have grown up on a farm and it's like
finally,
and is like obsessed with printmaking, so it could be the satire where she's like, it's got everything I want, like farming and printmaking, like it's like gushing, and then in that's where the critique lies, because you're like, ugh. But she's like, I love stuff that's obscure, and so that could be actually
like an Onion version of it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Anya didn't invent that style of writing where you have like the Dickensian name, and then it's like sort of the praise is actually the like critique that turns back on itself or something.
But yeah.
Like, I like the
there's
part
there's still an originating point for the critique. There's still a smoke screen, but and also what that does is it creates there's a kind of like snarky, cynical thing to that, which I think the voice needs to derive from the groups. It's not going to happen, I don't think, but it needs to derive from the groups like reaction. And
should we vote? Like, was this good?
Find it out.
Should it be a negative review or a positive review? Like step one.
There's definitely themes running through it, though. I mean, sentimentality, half-tone.
Should we read through the whole thing?
Yeah, maybe that will help.
Probably.
Yeah, because then you also know like what. Oh, we already said that.
Well,
What words do we have anyway?
I think some things have been repeated.
Yeah,
It's very formal printmakers organization.
Well, how can we make the view larger or include more? Yeah, include more of the text at the same time.
This is the Google.
Okay, so if you don't mind, maybe we're 10 minutes over, but we can go 10 more minutes, 20 more minutes.
Okay. I'm ready to post, by the way.
You ready to post?
Yeah, I mean, like, I've got it all set up so I can post.
Why don't we read it?
Okay.
On the Google Doc.
Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe we can spirit read it.
Okay.
I know that that's goofy, but why not?
But spirit read.
Someone's just started reading, and then and then there's no like we read next, but like the next person that just feels like reading will start reading.
Okay.
So
Well, before we start, we should include. You can do an after, before, the description of how this. I mean,
Yeah,
really
I put it up at the top. I don't
I think that should be at the end.
Yeah, right there.
At the end, after.
Put it
at the end.
Because you want there to be that confusion. When
So you want to take this out and pull it
the editorial group is really falling off.
2 years of heat, ready, 10, 15
Okay, so who's going to start?
Dottie Farnsworth, formal, opening lines review, not limited. NG evokes questions on threshold, meaning, and literacy. Printing, always printing. Framing, always framing. Boring, always boring.
Woo! How many times has the word boring come up? A lot.
I think maybe boring could have a question mark after it.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, all right. So sorry, not to cut you off.
It's either.
Not to cut you off.
That was the end of my spirit.
All right, who's next? Spirit reader.
Description. It is a very formal, a sort of printmaker's orgasm. Crisp, large format, halftone, one-of-a-kind screen prints on brown cardstock. Below the prints, which ring the room, are horizontal bands of color that are red and black. The prints are
Not true, also.
right.
Horizontal bands of color, leave it there.
Horizontal bands of color.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
The prints are blow-ups of a book of prints the artist made, blowing up the black and white photos printed in a book called Farming Always Farming.
That's a hard sentence.
Yeah, I can give it a Why don't you say enlargements of enlargements? Prints.
Or enlargements drawn from a book of prints itself, based upon selections from a.
Okay.
I can edit.
Okay, you had also.
Okay,
I'll be the editor.
Who is next?
Okay, you got it? Okay.
But maybe you should do it up here then, because that way we
That's
can
on
see
the
it.
screen.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm on Google Docs. So you can see
You can see it.
Oh, okay.
Printers inside of a farming community. Mechanization of farming versus mechanization of printing is a return to an artisanal farming practice, an echo of Gotland's formal practice.
Oh.
I wasn't drawn to write a review. It is.
I think that was me putting in Jesse's comment that he wouldn't have written. Like, he didn't pitch this show to be reviewed. So.
But you're in.
Oh,
right,
yeah.
So maybe that can go in somewhere else. Like in a different section.
What? I don't think we need that.
Okay. Well, I think there's something about the Boris Brasian thing about the 1-0 versus the plus or minus that's kind of interesting. But we can take it. Okay, let's move on. Okay.
It is good, quote, that it provides access to these things, provides patterns we can read into. He's leaving crumbs.
Enlightenment, authorship, faith?
Fetish.
Fetish. We follow your crumbs. Here's my game and figure it out. Books are not paratexts, they are part of the exhibition. Books are on a pedestal in the center. I wouldn't feel comfortable touching it unless someone did first. The conversation is generous.
This is different from a crit because we're trying to think about what does this format afford in terms of a voice.
So we should be a meta conversation.
I think we could leave.
The author should
We could leave that if maybe we put it in brackets or something.
Yeah.
Just
No,
like
not bracketed. It's got to all be mixed in there.
it could be a
If we,
composite.
lightly frame this as a review, but more as a written piece that we can free up.
I think that already happened.
Yeah, I know.
I think
Come on, Brandon.
I like the brackets
Scroll
though.
down, Brandon.
Oh, sorry. Say when. How far?
I mean,
Keep it going.
I like it all mixed in.
I would go hold it up.
Too far. Too soon.
Right here? Further up? Say when.
So we've all agreed to uncapitalize it.
Oh, there we go.
I like that.
This is different from a crit because we're trying to think about what this format affords in terms of voice. What is the character we're conceiving of? Economies of the less information something has, the more expensive it becomes. Do I like farming? Should I? Ultimately, the level of interest hinges on a sentimentality that is what makes the artist interested in the work, but it's not necessarily because of us. Lots of artists work with memory, intangibility, sentimentality lingers in the work. When are our personal excerpt is closed off? Overarching notion of what it means to register an experience. Story that brought the show and the story of the mediation.
So do we need all this stuff?
I like it.
I like that. I like that poetry. I like the economies of. But no, seriously, I do like that it has a nice rhythm to it in this, like.
I think hit print.
What's that? Hit print?
Well, the thing is, maybe this formal stuff should go above the sort of like tape recorder part. Because I think this part feels more, not objective, but like it describes what a person would see if they had
Which part are you referring to?
but like this general part where it's like, the spanners, the sizes.
Oh, I didn't know we were
Right here, this?
Yeah, made the artist speckles
Put this
down to.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Moment that it
So I'm going to do
becomes,
it.
What is happening in the room?
No, we gotta look at this. This is art now. So we put that, and then we take a step back. And
Okay, 3 minutes.
So
All right, are we continuing
let's
to
at least read it all.
read?
Yeah.
We'll read it all. Yeah, that's good.
Before it gets printed, let's at least read it.
Okay, where are we? The artist speckles the negative space around the screen printing dots that shifts the tonal ground. That shift, singular. The tan paper is traditionally used as an encasement for archival materials in institutional settings, much like those you would find in the book palette, library blue, forest green, burgundy. Controlled environment. Print is centered and takes up about 60% of the surface, mounted with bookbinding posts. Speckling adds texture, makes it look dusty, aged, becomes framed only on some of the spanners, references sun bleaching of the original book. Bitmap pixels are fuzzy, reproduction of reproduction.
Maybe fuzzy but sharp because there is like that.
Is this
thing.
formal or conceptual still?
This is formal.
Well, we're still in formal. Oh, shit.
Okay.
We moved around.
Oh, we did? Okay.
Yeah.
Formalism is new conceptualism. We move it.
Reproduction of a reproduction, degradation of the image, 30 by 40 except two larger, except the one with the address.
Yeah, no, leave all that. That's
I kind of like it. It's efficient, right?
yeah.
Spanners reference, low hang of, okay, I think this is
Just having these sort of
low hang of the
phrases
spanners
that are
subconsciously
just like
referencing
Hanging out, fragments of conversations is
But then
really.
it's also like it's like notes to the review, like Spanish reference goes here.
yeah.
You know, it's like we're efficiently chopping it up.
Can that become italicized maybe? I think it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
But as a
There we go.
Nice.
Yeah. It's like Radiohead, you know, with a shot of baby strapped in the back seat. Low hanging spanners.
Oh, yeah, you go.
your turn.
Maybe the unmodified images is incorrect.
Me?
Wait, what?
Go, Eric. Keep reading.
Low hanging spanners subconsciously referencing color bars on the monochromatic images. Width of the color bars reference a spread rather than an individual page 7 or 8. Exertion. I'm not sure. Exertion?
Yeah. Maybe just delete it all the way back to
7 or 8.
Yeah. You can even
No, excerpt. For
Excerpts.
Is it site specific? Maybe say, is this edit site specific?
Is this
edit?
Yeah.
It's so crazy that
The
we're
works,
editing
the
together.
works
Like,
invite an idea of a threshold, extremely made mediated. When do images become legible? What is possible on either side of legibility? It evokes a photographic mysticism, evokes WPA project or even sensibility.
Robot
Very
voice?
documenting, meta-documenting.
There is.
A document.
Spatial memory, the age of
People
mechanical
speak that way. There is
reproduction.
a document.
We can take that one out, I wouldn't mind.
Which one?
Spatial memory, the age of mechanical reproduction.
Can we agree
Is
on
that
that?
the one thing we kind of, is it that bad? I mean, it's not my thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who wrote it?
I did.
Can we just say
You
something
wanna
about
leave it in?
mechanical reproduction?
Facial memory and
Messiastic.
There is an issue about mechanical reproduction, for sure.
Maybe just add a question mark at the end.
I like putting a question mark.
We put an upside down question mark at the beginning.
Maybe.
No, that's a totally right observation to make. I just.
It is.
Okay, let's keep going.
Okay. There's a shell list of the exhibition formally that is a red herring with potential conceptual implications. A sense of longing mediated through.
Offset printing. Color bars for registration. Zoom. Ties back into documentation. The book and the address are stepping stones into the artist's personality research perspective. Normally on, it asks for a high amount of reconciliation. Conceptual.
Maybe
Pretty
normally-
research. We don't learn about farming or printing.
Maybe normally on it, ask for high reconciliation should be conceptual.
Yeah.
Which part? Here, you put it in.
The normally on.
Also, isn't there a thing about the pretty research in a different part?
Pre-research, we don't learn about farming or printing. Spanners are a literal book fetish.
Yeah.
Makes the viewer aware of the photographic material, silver, halide grain. That is formal.
Okay. Well, so is all of this formal?
No.
No, spanners are literal book fetish.
Spanners are literal is conceptual.
Okay. Makes
And
viewer aware is...
that is formal.
Yeah.
I think so, right?
No, yeah.
I'm a Capricorn, so I'm like, trying to like put everything in its.
But then at the end, are we going to take out the sections and just leave the
words?
Yeah. Right.
We
Okay.
could, or we actually, honestly, I think we should leave them, but that's just my opinion. The only reason I think that is because I think it's really weird that we all broke into those groups, like really deliberately, and I think that's part of this
And I
process.
don't know if people necessarily followed those things. though.
Well, yeah, I guess
That's
we're
what
trying.
we, in the world.
Normally on it, as for high-minded reconciliation, pretty research we don't learn about farming or printing. Spanners are literal.
pretty
book
research?
fetish.
That's a judgment, right?
It is a judgment.
But I think
But if we take out conceptual and formal, then the words can go wherever we want.
Yeah. Pointing to its own self-referentiality, the artist's book is called Printing, Always Printing, which is a kind of funny to conflate the two red herrings. One is the colored metal panels and had fallen on the floor when I entered the space.
Do we need the pointing to its own self-referentiality?
That's been in there like 3
It's been
times.
in there a
already.
bunch. And then also, yeah, the artist's book.
Typical self-referentiality. Keep getting in there.
What are they conflating?
They're saying that farming, always farming, is the same thing as printing.
Oh.
I think we said
I think we
that
said that
too.
already.
Yeah. Okay.
So the printing or orgasm thing already happened, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this is up there.
But this is a little different. It all looks good and its understated designiness is new.
This was up there.
Yeah.
That's also down there.
So there's a sentence, artists always wanting to make their work labor mean something.
That is conceptual.
That's nice.
Like morally. It is
Like-
moral to
Like morally, it is moral to be an artist doing the labor of analog screen printing, like the rich tradition of farming the land. But that is a kind of insulating to the hard-working farmers who are practicing actual labor and actual work, and artistic work. All this seems to be done to justify or add weight to the essentially aesthetic undertaking of making nice, abstracted prints of half-tone patterns, printmaking about printmaking. The work is not bad, it's just kind of boring, which is worse. Whether or not you can pull out or put in the content about labor and farming and hard work doesn't matter. It's all there when you walk in. It's a closed system. You can look at it and basically guess what is going on. Then you are done. There isn't any tension or problems to keep you wrestling with it. Art's not really about being good or bad, just presenting the viewer with some stuff you have to come to terms with. If you were able to instantly get it or comprehend it, then you could say that's bad, which is at odds with the general public, as seen in our Yelp reviews, which takes the position that if I don't get it, it's not art.
I feel like these kind of these kind of fully fleshed out sentences are
You should break it up a
are
little.
going to become the voice of the review.
Yeah, right.
And so I think there's I wonder how we can break it up so that it doesn't seem like that's kind of the consensus. Whereas
Well, that's like one bullet point. The work is not bad, it's just kind of boring, which is worse. That's like one.
Yeah, okay.
This is a good decision.
That's good, yeah.
That shouldn't be in there?
No, it doesn't.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to just...
This is not translated. No empathy. It's boring. Who cares? I think we should cut out some of the borings because it feels that like it's boring.
hard, yeah.
You get bored of that. Because then the review's getting boring.
Yeah.
That's true. That is bad.
It's also going to have the artist not about being good or bad right after the part where it's like moral.
Okay, we're just about done here. We got one. Oh wait. Okay, here we go. Final impressions of the show as artists meeting layers. What's that?
This does not translate no empathy.
I think we'll get rid of that.
This right here? This whole thing?
No,
Oh.
The highlighted stuff. I think we could
take that out.
That was said.
Did we say anything about sentimentality? We did.
No, I don't know
if we did.
I don't think we should leave that one.
Yeah, those are good. I like those.
Those are good, yeah.
Okay.
The final impression of the show is that of an artist looking to push through the mediating layers that constitute the reason for these objects and images' existences. The stick is our finger into the middle of the artist's of the Pennsylvania and German farm that is a backdrop to this line of inquiry.
I love that. I love that.
I think there's anything that you add is a question mark.
No, I love that the final impression of the show is this.
Hi guys! Thank you so much for being here. We really, really appreciate it. We're all going to pack up into cars and go to the Three Walls Gala, which I hope you all will go to as well. But this has been really fun, and I hope you've enjoyed yourselves.
Yeah.
And please come tomorrow morning, because we're going to do a noon talk as well, and have beer mimosas. So
I think we almost actually got there, so
yeah, I'm just going to post it.
Post it, dude.
Post it.
And we don't have to clean up pictures.
No, we don't have to clean up anything, so we're coming back tomorrow.
Right, and also for Brandon, this is just a little gift from Locust.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much, for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Get in touch, and this is just thank you so much.
It can be public or not.
So
I'm
this is
curious
some
about that.
postcards that we made at Locust.
Oh, nice. Thanks.
Who's our tomorrow person? Tomorrow we're Brandon. Excuse me. Ross Jordan.
Yes, thank you, Ross Jordan.
And then in the early part is Abraham Ritchie.
Yes, Abraham Ritchie from the MCA. He's their social media
pulling the plug on this.
correspondent, but also he's been a great writer.
It's a save, it's always saving.
Great guy, and then Ross Jordan from the MCA. And then the ACAD conference, so come to that as well.
Yeah,
It was beautiful, and I love all that work. Oh, really? Great.
That was so fun.
That was super fun. Brandon, thank you. That was like
I think it's
seriously
You were great. Thanks for jumping in.
This is a lot more. I was like, is this going to be a disaster? Is this going to be...
It was a disaster, but it was also good.
No, I mean like disaster where everyone just gets like pissed off when someone walks out, and then it turns into this like people bitching about Chicago or something. I did not know what to expect, so I really enjoyed it.
Good.
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 I really enjoyed it. Good.